Why failure after 60 is the best thing that can happen to you when the world calls it the end. People think failure after 60 is the final chapter. They whisper that your best days are behind you. But what if they're wrong? What if failure after 60 isn't the end, but the moment you finally start living life for you? See, when you were younger, you failed and worried what others thought. Now you fail and think, what do I think? That's freedom. And that freedom is the most powerful classroom life can give. Because only after 60 can failure teach you the lesson success never could. The truth about starting over. Starting again at 60 is not foolish, it's fearless. You've lived through storms, survived heartbreak, and built worlds. That means you already carry the tools most people spend their whole lives searching for. So when something falls apart now, a business, a relationship, a plan, you're not being punished. You're being prepared. You've earned the right to rebuild from wisdom, not from worry. You know what matters and what's just noise. And that makes this chapter the most powerful one yet. The gift hidden inside every failure. Failure at this stage of life is different. It's cleaner, sharper, more honest. It strips you of illusions. It removes the false layers of pride. It shows you exactly who you are when there's nothing left to prove. And when you see that person, raw, real, still breathing, you realize something beautiful. You don't need to be impressive anymore. You just need to be true. Every failed plan, every no, every ending is a teacher disguised as loss. And after 60, you're finally wise enough to listen. Keep watching, because near the end of this video, you'll get a 7/30/90-day plan that turns every setback into a source of unstoppable confidence. The wisdom of falling forward. In your 20s, failure feels like humiliation. In your 40s, it feels like risk. But after 60, it feels like clarity. You no longer chase approval. You don't have to please the crowd. You can finally experiment without fear. Try that new business idea. Write that book. Take that class you always postponed. Because now you understand, the only thing worse than failing is never trying again. Failure after 60 doesn't break you. It wakes you. When everything fell apart and finally made sense. I once met a man named Abdul, 72 years old. He'd worked 35 years in one company. Then, one morning, he was let go. He told me, "At first, I thought my life was over. But then I realized my life hadn't even started." He began teaching children how to read for free. He said it gave him more meaning in a week than his job ever gave in decades. That's what failure does at this age. It removes what's shallow so that what's real can finally breathe. When losing becomes liberation. You learn something sacred when everything collapses. You survive. You realize you don't need to win every fight. You just need to stay in the ring. And that realization makes you fearless. You start taking chances again. Not because you expect success, but because you no longer fear failure. And ironically, that's when success finally shows up, not as applause, but as peace. The power of perspective. When you look back now, you can trace the pattern. Every so-called mistake led you somewhere better. Every no redirected you to a yes that truly mattered. After 60, you can see the map clearly. Life was never punishing you. It was positioning you. And now that you've walked through storms, you can guide others out of theirs. That's the reward failure gives those who stay long enough to learn from it. The strength you never noticed. There's a kind of strength that only appears in hindsight. The strength to endure. Think of how many times you've started again already. You've healed from heartbreak, raised families, buried dreams, built new ones. And here you are, still becoming. That's not weakness. That's mastery. And the world needs more people who've learned that kind of quiet power. Freedom from the fear of judgment. Failure at 60 frees you from pretending. You stop performing for the world and start living for truth. You can laugh at yourself. You can admit you don't know. You can say no without guilt. You stop needing to impress, because now you've learned that the ones who matter don't care, and the ones who care don't matter. This is the lightness you wished for when you were young, and you earned it through every fall you thought you'd never recover from. The 7/30/90-day comeback plan. 7 days. Rewrite the story. Each morning, write one failure from your past and the hidden gift it gave you. End every night by saying aloud, "That moment shaped me, not broke me." By day 7, you'll begin seeing your story not as broken, but beautifully rearranged. 30 days, the courage routine. Pick one goal that scares you slightly, starting a hobby, sharing your writing, walking daily, or reconnecting with someone. Commit to it for 30 days, no matter how small the progress. Track your courage, not your results. 90 days, the reinvention project. Choose one meaningful pursuit. Mentoring, learning a skill, building a small business, or creating art. Every week, record what you learn, not what you earn. By day 90, you'll have evidence that growth never expires. Keep watching till the end, because the final section will give you the mindset that turns every fall into a foundation. The secret reward of failing late. Failure after 60 gives you what success never could. Humility without shame, strength without noise, and peace without approval. It teaches you that life isn't a ladder, it's a circle. What you give out comes back. What you lose makes room for what you're meant to find. You stop fighting life and start flowing with it. And that, finally, is success. The final realization. Every failure you've lived through was a rehearsal for wisdom. Every ending was preparation for peace. And now, in this season of your life, you finally have the perspective to see it. You don't need to prove your worth anymore. You've already done that, simply by surviving. So the next time life knocks you down, smile quietly and say, I've been here before. I know how to rise. Because after 60, rising is no longer an act of will. It's who you are. Your turn. Comment below. What failure taught you your most important lesson? Subscribe to Reimagining Life Again for more cinematic stories that prove age doesn't limit growth. It perfects it. Keep watching, because your next chapter might just be your most powerful yet.